Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the SACE Merit Ceremony for 2021. My name's Tom Aldan, and I'm with the SACE Board Communications team. In a moment, we'll commence the presentation of subject merits for the learning area of sciences. But before I begin, there are a few housekeeping items. Toilets, should you need them during or after the ceremony. The toilets are located behind the stage area to your left. There's a path, follow it down, won't get lost. We'll have an official photograph, which will be taken of each merit recipient on stage. And details of how to access these photos are in the back of your booklet, and there'll be plenty of opportunity to take your own photos after the presentations in front of Government House or around the grounds. This event is being live streamed from the SACE website, and the address is printed at the bottom of the program insert, which is also in that booklet that you have there. And that recording will be made available on the SACE website later in the week. Now finally, just before we start, if I could ask you to please ensure your phones are switched to silent. Awesome, thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Chief Executive of the SACE Board, Professor Martin Westwell.
Ganamiana Wangandi Mani Nabudni Gana Yatana Nadlu Dampindi Ganamiana Yatamatanya Wama Dadanyaku. The Ghana people say welcome to Ghana country, and we recognise the Ghana people are the landowners and the custodians of the Adelaide Plains. Welcome everyone, good afternoon to the SACE Merit Ceremony in 2021. We're doing things a little bit differently this year because of COVID, of course, and so we've got smaller groups to cater for those restrictions. And of course, that's been the story of the year, hasn't it? The changes that we've made, adapting, responding, and particularly for the students. I think here we are to celebrate your successes in science subjects, but there's more to it than that. You're celebrating successes, celebrating your excellence in a year when things have been difficult, when you and your teachers and, of course, families have had to deal with some of the changes that have occurred and pivot and adapt. And I think a little bit more than that. I think you've also had to deal with the uncertainty that we've felt this year. You know, the SACE Merit Ceremony this year will celebrate the achievement of over 1,000 students who will be receiving merits, and across 75 different Stage 2 subjects. I think it really tells us something about the breadth and depth of the SACE, but the breadth and depth of the learning of our young people in South Australia. Of course, I have a soft spot myself for the sciences, having a science degree and PhD myself. So this event is always particularly interesting for me. I was thinking about that issue about the uncertainty that we face. When I was thinking about the merit ceremony and watching the inauguration of Joe Biden, and I was particularly taken, as so many of us were, by that poem, The Hill We Climb, read by Amanda Gorman, the 22-year-old poet laureate of the United States. If you haven't seen that, I do recommend you get on YouTube and have a look at that. Quite an amazing young woman and a performance of the poem. I did want to steal a few words from that poem. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light. If only we're brave enough to see it. If only we're brave enough to be it. That resonated with me because the future is always shrouded with shade. It's difficult to see. The uncertainty makes it difficult to see. And of course, this year more than ever, it's perhaps even more difficult to see. And so while we are looking back and celebrating your successes of the past, we're also looking forward. This is a transition. And so I am asking you to have the bravery to be that light. You've shown us that you've got something special about you. Here you are collecting your merits. You can be that light for us. You've shown us that you're the next generation of thinkers, of doers, change makers. So don't hold back. Show us what you've got. Use this merit not just as a symbol of your success, but as a symbol of the role, the responsibility that you have to go forward and take an active role in the community. Show us what you've got. Influence others, inspire others. Not on our terms, but on your terms. Shape the future. Be brave. You know, every year we gather a group of special guest presenters to present the merit certificates. And in the learning area of sciences this year, we have a presenter who's made an outstanding contribution in her field, and we're thrilled to have with us Dr. Hannah Wardle. Hannah is an award-winning early career researcher dedicated to ensuring people with cancer don't just survive, but they will survive well, that they will thrive. To help her achieve her goal, Dr. Wardle founded the Supportive Oncology Research Group, an independent, multidisciplinary research group that aims to develop innovative scientific approaches to cancer treatment and recovery. She's secured close to $1 million to develop new methods of supporting gut health in people with cancer and predicting patient responses based on the bacteria found in their gut. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Dr. Hannah Wardle.
Well, that's a new COVID regulation that I'm not used to, the microphone being cleaned between speeches. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation to be here today, and a very warm welcome to Chief Executive of the SACE Board, Professor Martin Westwell, to the proud parents in the audience, and of course, and most importantly, the class of 2020. Congratulations to you all for prevailing in what can only be described as a year like no other, and a very challenging one at that. And whilst, we're often faced by the negative aspects of COVID and the changes that it has caused in our lifestyle, I hope today that we can look back at COVID and think about the positive things that have come out of this very challenging year. I also want to acknowledge that, of course, success is something that is never achieved alone. It really does take a community of people to breed success. And so, in addition to the students, I would also like to share my congratulations to the dedicated parents, teachers, and guardians who are here today for all the support that you've provided to the students throughout their challenging 2020. As introduced, my name is Dr. Hannah Wardle, and I'm a Biomedical Research Fellow leading the Supportive Oncology Research Group at the South Australian Health and Medical Research Institute, as well as the University of Adelaide. And I feel really very privileged to be here today because it feels like only a few short years ago that I was sitting in your exact position, feeling very excited about where and how I was going to make my mark on the world. But like many people, particularly people coming out of high school, some of whom may be in the audience today, I was pretty confused with exactly where I wanted to make my mark. And as I look back fondly at my high school years, I think that this has been a pretty common theme for me. I never really fit into a particular box, and I always somewhat struggled to find my place. And nothing truly reflected this any better than the selection of my Year 12 subjects, which were a very mixed bag of art, Italian, psychology, physics, and maths. And you'll note no biology in there, interestingly, and I've managed to carve out a career in a very biology-heavy research environment. But luckily for me, my natural curiosity in how things work, and in particular the Pandora's box that is the human body, really grasped my attention, and I landed myself in a health sciences degree. And this was really where I found my passion for science, my curiosity in the world, and I went on to complete my PhD in medicine, where, as mentioned, I worked on discovering and developing new and innovative ways of better supporting people with and after cancer. And I think looking back at 2020, as I alluded to before, we can all agree that COVID really did shine a big and beautiful light on science and the importance of science in all its forms. We celebrated public health and epidemiologists. We looked for guidance from infectious diseases physicians and experts. And we championed the relentless efforts by the various people across the world who worked relentlessly on developing the vaccines that we're now seeing distributed across the world today. And our global response to the pandemic really does underscore the value that science holds in our community. The changes that can happen when scientists and policymakers come together to tackle big problems, and the impact that new discoveries, no matter how big or small, can have on the health and the well-being of an entire population. But at the core of science really is creativity, and they're not necessarily things that are lumped together. Science is seen as something that is quite regimented and restricted and protocolized, but really the best discoveries in science come from a creative approach to a problem. And I'm really filled with excitement looking at you all here today, because creativity is really born in the young generation. The youth are what drive innovation. They challenge conventional thinking, and ultimately they make the discoveries that impact the world. And this is perfectly illustrated by looking at some of our best scientists, people like Albert Einstein and Isaac Newton. They were really making their most impactful discoveries in their 20s, when they weren't afraid to take risks, to test ideas, and to look at things in a way that perhaps these apparently older and wiser scientists would steer clear of. So while I'm here today, I really encourage you all to look forward with excitement, thinking about the problems that you will solve and the elegant solutions that you will discover. And as you begin to carve out your place in this big wide world of science, if you decide to pursue science, that is, I want you to look back at the challenges that you've had to overcome in this past year, to lean into that resilience that we've all heard about, that you've all undoubtedly developed in spades over the last year, and use this to give you the courage to push the boundaries, as this is always where the magic happens. And while I encourage you all here to make your mark on the world, I want to send my extra encouragement to the girls and women in the audience, as well as any LGBTQI+ people out there who continue to be underrepresented in science. There are no rules about what a scientist should look like or how they need to act. And while we may be inundated with stereotypes in the media, science truly does embrace and celebrate diversity. So in addition to being here today to celebrate all of you, I hope I can be a role model for the girls in the audience, or a champion for any of you out there today who may not feel, or who may feel like you don't fit into a certain box. My door and also my inbox are always open, so I encourage you all to reach out to me if there is anything I can do to help you make your mark in this big, exciting world. Thank you very much.
Okay, I will now introduce the merit recipients for the subject area of science. I'd like to introduce Chantel Andrews, who received a merit for chemistry. Deepak Atwal for agricultural production. Kanchana Balamathukrishnan received a merit in biology. I'd like to introduce Jacqueline Bunko, received a merit for biology. Lucy Blankiron received a merit for agricultural systems. Denzel Brooks received a merit for chemistry and couldn't join us today. Emily Bowie received a merit for biology and also couldn't join us today. I'll introduce Georgia Chadwick, who received a merit for biology. Nicole Chan received a merit for biology. Li Wei Chen also received a merit for biology. Benjamin Cook received a merit for chemistry but was unable to join us today. I'll introduce Caitlin Edwards, who receives a merit for chemistry. Alicia Elliott received a merit for biology. Alyssa Feltus received a merit for biology. Alexandra Gauci received a merit for biology. Jason Gong received a merit for chemistry. Peter Guskos received a merit for biology. Hania Haider received a merit for biology. Amanda Jayawikarama received a merit for biology. Xin Yu Kong received a merit for biology but couldn't attend today. Tien Lam receives a merit for chemistry. Angus Lang-Smith received a merit in agricultural systems. Justin Lay received a merit for biology. Khan Lay also received a merit for biology. Angus Llewellyn for agricultural production. Cara Lombard received a merit for chemistry but couldn't join us today. So I'll introduce Liam Mitkovich, who received a merit for chemistry. Raina Miller received a merit for biology. Liza Maloney received a merit for biology. Madeline Moss received a merit for biology. Liam Munir received a merit for biology. Hani Navy receives a merit for biology. Trin Nguyen received a merit for biology. Trung Nguyen received a merit for biology. Felicity Page received a merit for agricultural production, and Trung Phan received a merit for chemistry, and both couldn't join us today. So I'll introduce Meg Poley for biology. Jackson Rendell received a merit in chemistry. Timothy Rodriguez, a merit in biology. Manuela Rogers receives a merit for biology. Phaeton Syed receives a merit for biology. Brandon Chong receives a merit for biology. Evelyn Walker receives a merit for biology. Alexandria Walker Hart received a merit for agricultural production. Hugo Walter received a merit for biology. Runchi Zhao received a merit for biology. And Jessica Chow received a merit for chemistry. If I could ask you all to please put your hands together for our merit recipients today. And please join me again in thanking Professor Hannah Wardle. That concludes our presentation today. You're welcome to gather outside in the grounds or on the front of Government House to take your photos, but just please be mindful to maintain social distancing. Thank you.